We got March.
Do you know what the schedule is?
Is it March or February?
I don't know when it is. Is that what you're asking me? I have no idea.
Does anybody know when the next meeting is?
It was set for March 1st and 2nd, which will drive us all crazy, so it's being moved to February, hopefully before the early voting.
Oh, good.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm going to run through these real quick. Oh, I have to use this. Oh, this is irritating. First supplemental rule, elections will be conducted one at a time. The order will be in order the vacancies are recorded by the secretary. I verified Virgil has the order that the vacancies occurred. Does anybody have any objection to this rule?
Number one, sir.
Number one. Okay. Nominations have to be made by the floor from a member. After nominations have been made, nominees will draw numbered lots, determine speaking order. Each nominee will have a total of, how about 2 minutes? I put 3. Let's 2 or 3 minutes. Opinions? Yeah.
Do they have opponents for all four?
We have at least 3 contested that I'm aware of. We got a lot to do tomorrow.
Is this 2 minutes per speaker, or each nominee, if I want to split it up between 4 people, each get 30 seconds?
Well, it's 2 minutes for you to do with whatever you want. Yeah.
My time, I can split it up any way I want.
Yeah, you can hand your time off. I mean,
3, that's all the time.
my knee jerk was 3, but
3.
who thinks 3 minutes?
Nominating speeches, the person
3, 4, 5,
speaking.
6. Okay, we'll do 3 minutes. I'm fine with that. Including those who wish to speak on behalf of the nominees. That lets you split it up. Any other discussion on number 3? And I'm going fast today because we can get through our business. Scott's still got to bring his resolutions committee back to order, and then we all want to go out to dinner tonight. So I'm running through quick here. Any other on 3? None? Okay, voting. Voting will be conducted by secret paper ballot like normal. Majority vote required for election. Chairman will appoint 5 members of the SREC to distribute, collect, and tally ballots. That's the number of buckets I think we have to collect ballots in. Candidate may appoint an observer. No majority, we go repeated balloting the way we've always done. Uncontested races declared immediately. Any discussion on this? Opinions? Okay. And then I added a MacGyver rule in this, so might as well take care of it. 3 speakers for, 3 against, 2 minutes speaking time on all normal motions. Anybody want to talk about that one?
Can I have the word debatable there? Well,
Yeah. I don't.
Each person gets an extra 6 minutes for forward.
No. This is an additional rule for guiding debate all day.
Okay, good.
It's a debate modifier for the day. Not just, it's full supplemental rule, so not just governing elections. This is governing the whole meeting.
Make that pretty clear, because I wouldn't think that based on what I'm seeing.
Well, we move that at every meeting. Usually we'll stand up and move that rule so we can expedite debate. I'm just adding it to the supplemental rules. I've already got the mic.
I just think it needs to have a section header. One is for voting, and one is for debate.
That says debate number 5.
Above the first one, so that's reflected.
Okay.
like rules for SREC vacancy elections?
Yes.
That's fine.
Well, no, just the top part is for that.
Oh, you're saying that section?
Yeah, then the next section is rules for the day.
I'll present it so everybody's clear what it is I'm doing. So 3 for, 3 against, 2 minutes. Is everybody okay with that standard debate modifier?
I never know where anything is in Google Docs.
I hate Google Docs. I'm not going to live stream. I hate Google Docs live world. I'm a Microsoft guy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right. Nothing else on number 5. We're good. Okay. Number 6. Yeah. I'm really going to move this. Chair recognizes the parliamentarian.
I have two amendments. One, parliamentarian should be professional parliamentarians.
We can take that without objection. What's your other amendment?
When are we supposed to celebrate? After the election?
There'll be a lot of a celebration.
I moved to strike secretary.
Oh no, you're not a recognized member of this committee. Okay. I'm going to move it on the floor tomorrow. Okay, any other discussion on the supplemental rules? Going once, going twice, going, gone. Okay, they're gone. All right. We had 2 bylaw notices for bylaw amendments. One of them was striking Partnerships Coalitions Committee. The other one was Ann Gebhardt's. Have you changed your mind? You still on board? Gail's going to withdraw the motion to strike. The chairman is going to allow her 3 minutes on the floor as privileged time to speak on her reasoning. And so we're not going to take a vote on that. So therefore she's withdrawn. We're not going to take that up here. So that'll save us the debate today. The next one is Ann Gebhardt's bylaw amendment. So Rule 42, if you were at the convention, we created a new mechanism in Rule 42 that SREC members had to disclose whether they receive, and this is not something to debate, this is our party rules. They had to disclose whether or not they receive compensation from elected official, lobbyist, a PAC, prior to running, and they also had to disclose it to the SREC. We've never created a bylaw mechanism to enforce the rule. This is just a bylaw mechanism to enforce the rule, and it inserts,
That's the R.
that's the actual rule. So all,
Wait, you're too fast.
okay. That's actually in the state party rules. But we didn't create a mechanism in the SREC to require this disclosure. So nobody's disclosed. You have to disclose whether or not. I hadn't even gotten to the motions yet, and you'll have questions. So Ed beat you to it, Gail.
Would that include in-kind donations, like they print you push cards?
Or donations at all.
Is that
I mean, I would see cash donations as being something that should be disclosed.
Okay, hold on. I'm not going to debate the rule. It got debated in convention, and we're not going to go down that road. All we're going to do is create a mechanism. Now, if you don't disclose it in the form that we're going to prescribe, that's not for me to decide whether you received in-kind contributions for something or not. I'm not combing through campaign finance reports to see if you filled this form out properly. This is just a simple trigger mechanism is all that we need to do. Let me get Gail first. Okay. Virgil.
I've got a question that Ann and I actually thought about, and we brought it to your attention, but I wanted to bring it to the body's attention as well. So I need the mic.
Yes.
Our question was, shall disclose to the SREC, that's the rule that we have to follow. So when people do the disclosure forms, who is allowed to see those disclosure forms, and how do they, I guess, is that something that we need to determine, or is that something that,
You want my opinion?
sure.
My opinion is they become an official document of the SREC that could effectively become part of the minutes prior to the proceedings of the body, which would be inspectable by a voting member of the organization. That's my opinion. What's your opinion, Stephen? You agree?
Like part of the records the secretary maintains?
Yeah, I mean, it would be, if we take this bylaw on, you would be the custodian.
Just so we can see where it's actually going to go.
And that's rule, well, are we done to looking at the state party rule? This is the bylaw amendment. We're clear on what we're doing. We're creating a bylaw amendment to enact the rule.
That was what I was wondering.
Right, and we're just creating the enforceability clause for the rule.
Which article is it?
3.
Article 3. Susan?
So my question is, and it may just be not answered. The party rule is a statement, but what happens if someone violates that? Is there anything in there? Is there somewhere else that says if it's violated, X happens, and if so, do we need to include that in this?
No.
Okay,
I mean,
so, okay.
what happens if anybody violates any party rule?
Well, we do have, like, if you do this, then we can do this. We do have some like that. And I just was curious if this one has some other, if there's another part somewhere else that talks about that.
Rule 44. Yeah, Rule 44.
Rule 44.
Yeah.
Rule 8.
We don't have order.
In Yankee Credentials, it's
Mhm.
convention for
Susan?
So if it is, so shouldn't it be disclosed as part of the bylaws what the secretary would do with it?
What do you mean?
In other words, I can fill out the form and give it to Virgil, and Virgil could put it in a folder, and that it could not be accessible to anybody, or it could be accessible to anybody.
To the SREC.
It's an SREC.
To the SREC.
Okay, so what you want to do is make an amendment.
Yes, but I'm not sure what I want. you to
Okay,
do.
we
I just want it to be more
It's just supposed to
specific.
be SRC.
Yeah, the rule, but we still have to, we have to bring that over. There it is, disclosed to the SREC. So by disclosing that, he's the recording officer, that document, you would be available to examine that document. Gail got you, are you good?
That I would be able to see my own document.
Well,
I would see her document.
If something's disclosed to the SREC, every member's privy to what's been disclosed, in my opinion.
General public.
No, it doesn't say made available to the general public.
So it wouldn't be possible to have a real whole for the disclosure, really?
No, it doesn't have to be. I mean, how he manages those documents. What, you have an example of another document?
Yeah, and like Susan, I think in response, if any of you said, hey, can I see the minutes of the third quarter meeting? Well, I'm going to say, well, they're publicly posted on the website. Here's the link. If one of you says, I want to see executive session minutes from some officials committee meeting, I'm going to say, let me bring you over to a private place so you can examine the document. I think based on this, shall disclose to the SREC, whatever instructions y'all give me, of course, I will follow. Absent that, I would say, if Susan Lucas comes up to me and says, hey, I want to see, Susan Wright's disclosure form, I would pull it out and show it to her from some folder or something and maintain those updated.
I had you next, or you, Gail?
Yes, if we do make a change here, does it have to be made in the rules as well?
We can't go, I wouldn't say, I mean, we can do whatever we want as far as we're complying with the rule. If you want to add some other ways to handle that disclosure, I would say that would be in order. But I would caution you not to complicate it beyond what the rule requires. We don't want to get any more complicated and create another big mess that then we want to go back and modify the rule and then get it so restrictive that you've got to give a blood sample when you run for SREC. Ed's next.
It's already restricted because everybody will have to give the form to Virgil.
Yes,
Whether you receive or not.
yes,
But it has no time frame.
I agree.
Before you get elected,
There's another,
state convention,
there is
a
another,
month after you get elected.
go back and look at the rule. There's another clause in the beginning of that rule that requires you to disclose it at your caucus before you run. This says once you're elected, you have to disclose it to the body if you're working for a PAC. The rule already tells us we have to do it. All we're doing is creating the vessel to do it so that we're in compliance with the state party rule. That's what this is. No,
So they're supposed to disclose it at their SD when they get nominated.
So where is that?
go back to, in the state party rule.
Rule 42.
You already have to do it. Now, this is new. It was just enacted at the last convention. It doesn't ratify until we close the convention, so the next convention, it applies.
We'll put it in the script.
Yeah, it'll be in your caucus scripts. That answer,
I'd say most people have no clue about the rule.
well, it's because it's new. So that's how we teach the caucus chairs in the training and the scripts.
Good.
I think I had you next.
So it wouldn't be automatic that you would send it to us?
No,
If it says shall disclose?
I would think, my opinion going forward is the secretary, whoever that future party secretary is here, guys, while you're filling out your proxy form, let's get all these forms filled out too.
But if this is part of the election, this is something that should be collected.
Read the next sentence. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the next sentence here. So after you've been elected, then you come to the SREC. Now you have to disclose it to the SREC. We're creating the effect of this in our bylaws. If your status changes, you would report it too.
So the caucus chairman would have to be apprised of this rule so that it would be disclosed?
Yes, but Susan, we're not talking about what's happening at the convention at the moment. We're only talking about after you're elected. But yes, the caucus chairman will get it in his script when you have nominations from the floor. I would require them we'll figure out the language. They need to come forward and disclose, or they disclose it on the microphone. I'm working for X candidate. And that would be your disclosure. I'm going to go to.
Well, I think Naomi and I had the same question, so she started it and I'll let her finish.
Okay.
So, where it says all members shall disclose, so let's say the secretary receives something from Susan.
From me.
Yeah. If he doesn't send it to the body of the SREC automatically, then how would I know that I disclosed? Right.
I agree. You can. I mean, you can. This is your rule. I mean, you can add how you want to handle it. My only caution is let's not get it too complicated, because all we're trying to do is comply with state party rules. We're actually all not in compliance at the moment because none of us is disclosed as the way we're required to. I mean, I can publicly. I'm not receiving anything from anybody.
So if we just added, shall notify the SREC by email or upon receipt? Is that, I mean,
Are you requiring the secretary to send out an email every time that changes?
I don't know, I'm asking, is that a lot? Do you anticipate it being a lot?
Well, okay.
I don't know.
Option 2 is to say, or a report of the secretary. We can create a secretary's report to update on, but that would be live stream.
They want to do that.
I want to know.
Is it public or is it not? Yeah.
So if our U.S. Senator asked me and Susan.
I'm sorry, Ed, I didn't recognize you. I'm kidding.
So if our U.S. Senator asked me and Susan out for lunch at a good Mexican food place, do we have to just go select? Because that's like.
Are you being compensated for something though? Because if you are, but if you're being compensated, then he had to file that on his report, his campaign activity. If he's taking you out in an official capacity, you're not receiving compensation. He's just taking you to lunch.
That's gonna be coded for a meeting. It's gonna be coded for a party meeting.
But that doesn't mean you're being compensated for doing anything necessarily. He's just taking you for lunch.
I'm assuming compensated means like, I was political director just for a brief period contract for Tarrant County, the last general. I would have to disclose that, correct?
I mean, I take this because there was a lot of debate about this rule, is if you're on somebody's payroll, that's what this is after. I mean, because this could catch all of us. If I'm out block walking, am I working for that candidate now? And then they bought me lunch. Is that compensation for me working for that candidate? Do I need to disclose that? We could get really complicated with it. The idea is if you're employed by somebody, I believe the way I interpret this rule, if you're employed by a state rep, you're employed by a PAC, you're employed by, that's when it would trigger it. We leave it a little bit vague. I think there's some leeway, Gail.
Can we amend this to say this means employment? Right? I
Why?
mean, there's something really defining it.
You can amend it, but I'm going to fight you on the floor because we don't want to get, listen,
I won't do it then.
we don't want to get more complicated than what the rule prescribes. When we start trying to define it and make it finite, we start creating problems with the rule. We just want to comply. This is compliance with the rule. That's all it is. I think if we're going to determine how that notification happens and how it's distributed, I think that's great. But if we're going to go beyond the rule, then we're redefining the rule, and we don't want to redefine the rule. That's going to be really problematic and more restrictive, honestly.
What happens if somebody says, shall a politician so-and-so give me $1,000 to do, what happens to them when they disclose that?
Nothing. I know you're in the pocket of a politician, though. I mean, honestly, I don't know what that means to me, but at least I know. Stephen,
Can I make a suggestion? So
I would love for you to.
This is a bylaw change.
It's a bylaw change.
And what a lot of guys are talking about is really be a standing rule. How you're going to deal with these things later. So you could create a standing rule that says we send a notice out when we need to. It doesn't need to be here.
So you don't think the disclosure action needs to be in as a bylaw change?
Good enough. And then you can,
Okay.
what to do with it
And then
later.
create the standing rule as how we process those.
You can change that anytime you want.
That's reasonable. And the secretary may have a new secretary, not Virgil, God forbid, may want to do it differently. Yeah. Did y'all catch that? So the parliamentarian suggestion is we just leave this intact as it is and then create a standing rule on how we're going to handle the notifications, and we'll have the prescribed form, but what he does with the form after that, we can do in a standing rule. So if Virgil's no longer the secretary and a new secretary wants to handle it different, then the standing rule could be modified. And I think that's, sure.
I just had a hypothetical thought.
I wish you wouldn't.
So disclose to the SREC. So, I don't know, Susan Lucas knows that Susan Wright got $1,000 from somebody, right? Can Susan Lucas publish that publicly? Is that breaking some sort of implied executive session privilege?
Do you want me to start on discussions being posted in media? I mean, I can do that.
I mean, I guess there may need to be some guidance to members as to what they can do with the information that they receive.
They're gonna screenshot it and share it.
Yeah?
And is this election cycle or is this 20 years ago?
It's right now, the way I see it, right now, during your term.
I think all of this.
We can only bind anything on your term.
Yeah.
It's during your term, yeah. We should have already done this a long time ago. We just didn't. Naomi?
Chairman, I'd like to move that we accept this,
Yeah, it's moved. Yeah. When everybody's done, I'll take a vote on it.
Call the question.
Can't call the question in committee, but thank you. You see, you're learning today, Ed.
I'm done.
Okay, so here's this one. Are you ready for the question? There being no further debate, the question is on adopting or moving to the committee report Ann's bylaw amendment, section 3, disclosure. Did we have to renumber or you just put it in section 3?
Yeah, we have to renumber.
We'll have to remember the following ones.
Yeah, okay. Well, and Virgil, through their standing rules, got a right to reorder, so. Are you all in favor signify by saying aye? Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, the motion carries. That's my daughter, it's just gonna ring. She's got the breakthrough thing.
Does that mean you have to start dancing?
No, that'll be tomorrow after that rule's adopted. I imagine the parliamentarian's going to rise and debate. And I hope he does, because it would be so much fun.
And we
Okay.
threw a mock form together if they want to see that.
What?
threw a mock
Well, we'll
form
have to approve the form real quick. Yes.
when is it appropriate for us to make that standing rule?
It would be appropriate to go ahead and do it. We could recommend it out of this committee. We could draft it here in a minute. Let's do the form real quick. You're not going to get it to stop. She's not going to quit. No, my kids are on that breakthrough thing, because usually if I'm gone and they text me, I want to know if something's wrong. So I can't squelch it without going through and changing all the contact information. Okay, so next we're going to move on to the form. We've got a rough form that Virgil and Ann worked on.
We can throw the rule and bylaw in. I think that makes sense at the top.
Yeah, so be in accordance with Article 3, Section whatever, subsection 3.
I'll do it later.
Too many tabs.
I don't want to waste your time.
Name SD. Now, go back to the rule, if you don't mind. It doesn't say who. It just says whether or not.
What do you mean by?
I don't have to tell you who I'm working for. I just have to tell you if I'm receiving compensation.
Oh,
But you have to say who.
the rule doesn't say it, does it?
Don't make the rule more complicated than it already is. That's the rule. We can't, we're bound by that. It does not say who. It just says whether or not. Doesn't even say how much.
So if you work for a JP candidate, that's still okay.
But you get the lunch while
Yeah.
we're here. Yeah. All you gotta say is yes.
It's a yes or no question.
Yep, whether or not. You have to say, yep. I agree it's silly, but yeah.
I got 25 cents, but you got 25,000, okay.
A thought on our onboarding sheets that Jim gives us right after the election at the convention. Maybe a box that you check, I haven't received I received compensation.
Just this language.
The reason the form is because that could change throughout the term.
Separate from that, but
I would think that even at the organizational committee or the second organizational meeting, the secretary would hand those out and everybody fill these out and collect them, and now we've complied. We may try to kill this rule convention, Gail.
Can we talk about what's been written there? Now?
Absolutely, yeah. The form is on the floor.
To make amendment,
Okay?
I'd like to make it into current, so instead of do you receive, to are you receiving?
I'm going to take this as just a working document, so if you've got suggestions, throw it out there. It is a working document. We're just going to run through this form.
Well, now, are you receiving?
Oh, here comes the lawyer.
That's
Are you receiving right this second? Right now, are you receiving? No, I received it 30 seconds ago.
Well, can we say currently?
What does the rule say again?
Receive. Do you receive? Whether they receive.
Receive means now, continuous, right? Does it? What's it mean?
Do you receive? Doesn't have any timing.
Okay. So you like the way it is.
Do you see it? Number one, it doesn't tell us anything.
I agree, but we're just complying.
Are you or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? Do you receive or have you ever received during the term of your elected position compensate? I mean, it goes against the typical rule of less.
Okay.
Words, though.
Let's just deal with what we're dealing with here at hand. So you think it should be do you receive? That's the best, less of multiple evils. Okay. Anyone else?
And I'll see if I can put check boxes
You can do it.
as opposed to circle.
Scantron form,
Oh, gosh.
hanging Chad. Okay. Should we also include the start date for compensation? The rule does not require that, in my opinion. It just says, do you receive, whether or not?
That's what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Now, we could change the form and ask for more information, but the rule only requires
Right.
a certain
They
amount.
don't need to go beyond the rule.
And they would not have to fill the rest of it out, but they'd have to read the rule to know that.
They'd have to know, yeah, they would not have to fill the rest of it out because that's not required by rule.
And then we
If it's required by bylaw, that's a different thing, but
We haven't done that.
we haven't done that. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What happens if, like, I did it for a specified period of time during the general. So when that ends, do we also file forms that is ended, that relationship is ended?
I would think you could change your status if you wanted to. Rule doesn't tell you you have to, it just says do you receive. The rule doesn't say if you no longer, then do you have to go back? I mean, you might want to.
Did it say that, Chuck?
I think it did say that.
I mean, then flip back to it.
Whether or not.
So women not?
Oh, so this isn't an opt-in, this is whether or not. So it's gonna have to be yes or no. So-
Everybody has to fill it.
Okay, I see.
Yeah,
I see.
I'm gonna say no.
But if you opt in, if that, your status changes, you
Then I
find
have
another
to,
form.
I have to do another form.
That's what it says.
I mean, you should if you're gonna be compliant.
And there's no,
I mean, the pitfall is if I find out later that you, through somebody's campaign finance report, went on staff for an elected official, and I went with you on a vote or something like that, and you hadn't disclosed to me, I might be able to cause a stir and reconsider a vote. And I mean,
Under penalty of perjury.
I do not. I don't. Thank you. I understand this is silly, but the delegates created the rule. We're going to comply with the rule. Gail?
With that concern about the whether or not, in the bottom line where it says, I understand that in the future, I will refile this form, should I receive compensation? Blah, 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 blah.
Or should not.
Or, I understand that in the future, if I am no longer required by rule, what would be rule 42, to, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying?
Like to stop
In other words,
receiving
when it stops.
How about if we just put, I understand that if my status under Rule 42 changes, I will resubmit this form.
I'll go with that.
There's going to be that one member combing through ethics reports going, I'm going to catch somebody.
I love rules. Actually, I love the people.
This form has become really simple.
It's supposed to be simple, really simple.
You'll want the rule and bylaw on there,
Yes.
Yeah.
so I can fill out part of the page at least?
Yes.
Attach thumbprint
I mean, in
here.
theory, I could print them for tomorrow if, I mean.
Well, what if they wordsmith it?
Yeah. Okay.
We could print them. I mean, anyone else? Anyone else? Going once, going twice. All in favor of adopting this form and moving forward, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Let's draft our standing rule. What are we down to standing rules now? 5, being rule 6?
Rule 6.
Steve, sorry, Molly. Do the SREC members have to fill out disclosure information if they're running for SREC and 2 or 3 candidates? Or is it only for SREC?
Say that again?
If you're running for SREC, you have to fill out these disclosure forms. And say somebody gives you $50 to run for SREC.
When did you get here?
I may just be lagging.
The rule, this doesn't have anything to do with running. This is after you're elected. The rule says you have to disclose it to your caucus at the time you run in your caucus. Right. But we're not dealing with that. We're only dealing with this part of the rule, the after part.
You've gone incognito, so we can't, nothing's doing this for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Google tracking me.
It's only in the rule, but it's never been done before.
I'm aware. But the only thing we're required to do post-election is that piece. The disclosure piece.
Well, you'll just add it a little file. I have to go to my,
This would be standing law Roman numeral 5, and the current 5 will be moved to 6.
yeah.
It doesn't have to be, we don't need to renumber it.
5 says editorial authority, seems like that should be right.
It doesn't matter. I mean,
I'm ready when you're ready.
okay, well, so let's fire out the points of this standing rule that determine how we handle this. Somebody give us some ideas, and Virgil will go to wordsmithing. What do you want to do with this form?
So many ideas.
Come on, throw some.
Who files it, where they file it, when they file it,
Mm-hmm.
How periodically we have to report it.
who files it, obviously it's the candidate who's running or elected. Where they file it has to be there, they file it, how they file it, by email to the SREC secretary, send it to every SREC member, when they file it, how soon after they get compensation do they have to do it? All that would be in standing. Those are the details.
Well, okay, so the document we just said when your status changes. Yeah, so that's pretty clear. So we have to file, it says you shall disclose to the SREC. That's pretty simple. So it would just probably be a function of the secretary to say everybody needs to come up here. I remind you that you all need to come disclose when we organize. We need to define who gets to see this and if the secretary has to kick it out to the members for some reason. That all needs to be in this rule. So let's throw some language out there.
I want to call it Rule 42 disclosures, or you want some other descriptor in case the rule number changes, or?
I think that's fine. If the rule number changes.
No, we need to reference the bylaw. We're not, the bylaw is the action.
So it'd be section 3 disclosures?
Article
Article 3, section 3 disclosure?
I would just say Article 3 disclosure.
In all seriousness,
We're never serious.
what?
We're never serious.
We need to get serious now.
Okay.
Kidding.
Just give me that mom look.
Just a minute.
In a minute, we can.
After the celebration.
If there's a folder that only SREC has access to, that we can go look at whenever we want to look at it, that is also a disclosure. Is that true? And Virgil could just drop these in, whatever's the most current is in there.
I mean, it's binary. I could do an Excel spreadsheet with 64 lines, and it's either a yes or a no in the field.
And we say who's not compliant, at least.
And a date updated,
Right.
like, in case
That's a
it
good
changes or
idea.
whatever.
So you want to say some language like made available to the SREC by an online
Google Docs.
SREC only document.
Not like your Google.
I mean, let's not restrict him to how he does it. Let's just say it's got to be an online accessible form.
I only say that because otherwise Virgil's now,
I don't want to have to kick out a weekly report.
It's
How about
his
that?
job. We have elected him to do it.
it's a big K, that's why we're asking you. I just don't want him to be like in a box where he's like constantly bound by a weekly email. There's no update, there is an update, there's been no change. Did I get a change? Did I get an email? Is there a change? I agree with what Nathan was saying when he said it, that we need to be notified. I wouldn't know to look if I don't know to go look. I'm not like seeing the thing every day. But maybe before the next meeting, I would take a look at it,
I think Virgil should just, at each SRC meeting, say if there's been any changes.
He should tattoo it all on his back.
Yeah, that can be part of his report.
How about we just don't accept any compensation?
Woo-hoo.
But it still says you have to say, no, you haven't.
Senate rules of the committee.
You still have to fill out the form. Whether you-
That got tried the last convention. It didn't make it.
I mean, Virgil, you're the one who has to do this. You tell us.
See how she just dumped that on
Yeah,
you?
yeah, but-
Way to advocate your responsibilities,
It was
Susan.
both respectful and dumping on me at the same time.
I
So
mean, no, it's easier to send out an email or just keep a spreadsheet.
I don't think, and I don't want to burden some future secretary too, although they could always change the standing rule. But I would say if we're not concerned about the data being secret or whatever, then just having a Google form or some other spreadsheet that was updated constantly and not, okay, I don't have to send out an email that says, hey, there's an update to the Rule 42 forms.
What
Go
if,
look at the document. Like if I just,
what if the secretary shall maintain all disclosure forms and shall update the SREC by best means possible? Then we don't really need a rule. I think we're really just,
I
we're
would even
splitting hairs here.
kill the update them. Like,
The next SRC meeting, you say if there's any changes.
I mean, if you put a time, like, there are time deadlines in the bylaws, for instance, when there's a vacancy, I've got to let you guys know within 3 days. Or like officials minutes, I have to bump them out within 10 days. Y'all could do something like that to me here. I don't think it would rise to the level of y'all all getting an email that says, hey, there's been a change by one member to the Rule 42 disclosure spreadsheet. Go look at it.
Guess who it is?
Yeah, like, go figure out who it is. I mean, unless the body would like that, I'm willing to provide that amount of information. If you guys get 5 million emails a day, I don't know that you want that. But if periodically you say, hey, I wonder what the disclosures look like, and you go to the document and it's updated within, 2-3 days, I think that would probably be
Well, just have
helpful.
the secretary will create a page on the GOP website containing this information.
Or you could even make it more vague. You could say, we'll make disclosure known to the SREC.
That's good.
Type it up. Let's look at it.
That lets you do it however you want to.
What time are you coming back to order? 4:15.
Just sits on the desk if you want to look at it.
Yeah? Just have them
There's
ready when you
nothing
send it.
there. There's no money, no people. I do our
4:45.
You have to work down. Is it no disclosures?
Yeah, it's kind of a benefit.
Disclosures to
We'll make this, we'll
Disclose.
share, we'll inform, disclose the disclosures.
Yeah, that is silly.
I want to use disclosures because that's the word. We'll publish.
Let's put something in there that you'll be the custodian of the document. Secretary shall accept,
And
will,
we'll maintain,
you'll, ask me about something later. You'll
what does
appreciate it.
Robert say on this, what's the phrasing on the secretary being the custodian of documents or?
The keeper of keys at
the
Hogwarts.
keep? Yeah. Is there some phrasing in that
No, it's just part of your
Yeah,
will,
maintain.
we'll maintain the records?
yeah, we'll maintain the disclosures. And we'll maintain,
Records or
Just say
disclosures?
publish and maintain.
Yeah, thank you.
maintain and publish.
And
I don't like the word publish all by itself.
You don't like the word what?
The word publish all by itself. Because it can be published in the, on Twitter.
It's gonna be.
It's gonna
I
be.
mean, I don't know who you're protecting here.
It doesn't say anything. All it says is, yep.
That's
Or,
true.
nope.
Now, I'm not gonna say once your status changes, you're not gonna get a phone call from somebody saying,
Exactly.
I'd like to do an interview with you. Who you working for?
Is that-
I like the
Take those records.
Okay, anybody else? Anybody else? All in favor of this language signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Some more ayes have it. All right, that's adopted. Okay. Who had time to go through the email with Jim's cleanup of the bylaws?
I did.
Did you guys look at it?
Yes, I got it right.
Oh, you are in the email.
The part that we did
When did
together.
it go out?
Oh, man, went out twice.
It went out twice. The first time, I don't think it actually went
I
out.
don't think you guys have my email, no.
It got sent again.
I think it doesn't have the.
We didn't have 2 weeks ago.
I'll make sure you get it.
I haven't seen it.
Secretary doesn't have it.
So when are we gonna vote on it so that?
It was a,
off our board?
well, so we've got a two-step process. So the first step is to vote for his cleanup, move forward. The next step is going to be to insert all the things you want. I don't know if I included you or not. I may have.
Have these.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. You do have them. Check your email. Check the very top of your email. Check the very last email you got.
Nope.
I just had Ann send it to you so you had the copy.
Nope, and didn't send it to me. Listen, what's a spam?
Okay, I will get it to you. I could swear I copied you on that, but I just deleted the email while I was trying to re-forward it. So I got to go back in my mailbox and recover it. My phone doesn't let me recover very well. I'll get it to you. Okay, does anybody have any questions, comments on the cleanup that he's got the cleanup done. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to take it without objection. We're going to move forward past the cleanup. Go look at it. If you don't have it, let me know. I'll get it to you. The next step we're going to try to do between now and March is do a series of Zoom meetings. If you've got substantial changes that you want to make to the bylaws, have them drafted and ready to go. Bring them to the Zoom meeting so that we can work on them, because I want to get a final vote of our replacement set of bylaws noticed in the March agenda. I will probably notice it here. God, I hope we get the work done. And then I want I want to present it to the body for adoption at our last meeting. So hopefully it will carry forward into the next biennium.
I was gonna
Yes.
suggest, in addition to being ready at the Zoom meeting, and we send it to everybody on the committee 2 or 3 days ahead of time.
I would think that'd be a great idea.
I found the email.
I realize we're working elections. I realize we all got stuff to do, but if we're going to get this done and make it mean something, it has to happen now.
Would those be on your personal Zoom or on an RPT Zoom? Because I feel like
I
I've missed
use-
subcommittees in the past that I didn't get noticed to.
I use my personal Zoom a lot, but I'll
Please
loop
make
you in,
sure.
and I think I usually do, but I'll loop you in. Yeah, no, I want you
Because I
there.
missed some of the, when you had subcommittee A, B,
But
and C.
before, I didn't, well, but that was up to them to do the notices, the subcommittees. I mean, I didn't want you there before, but I do now.
Between the three of us right here,
Uh,
who wants to be the keeper of the actual current version of the document
I want it on my server.
on your server?
Yes.
You're the keeper.
And I'll send you the link. It's Microsoft. It's not Google Doc. So, yeah, and it's there. It's already there. It's actually, you already have access to it. Actually, everybody does. But I'm gonna drop it in a new folder. I'll resend the link out. So at least the 3 of us can have edit privileges.
Another good thing, now we have to have Microsoft Docs. Get into it? Might we have Google Docs?
No,
PDF or.
you're not gonna have to maintain the document. We're gonna maintain the live copy. You submit your written amendments, we'll cut and paste them in and maintain the document that we'll screen share with you while we're discussing it. Nobody's gonna mess with the document if we're not online with Zoom. Yeah. And so those will be work sessions to work forward. We'll have an official vote at the next meeting to adopt the document. Do you have a question?
But are y'all voting on Zoom, when you do your Zoom meeting, do you vote?
We agree to move forward. We're not taking formal votes. It's a work session to move stuff forward is what it's for. Every vote that we're going to take to move something forward will happen publicly.
And say something like maybe turn it into the Zoom, is it? Something to be doing that?
Those work sessions are probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, we're so far behind the curve. If we got to move this ball forward. So this is us just working on. This is us individually. You know, we're as a committee, but we're just working on a document that we're going to propose to the body. The body may reject it and say we don't want to even do this.
Okay.
We may lose, but I mean, this is what we decided to do, was replace the document completely in its entirety. But it'll be noticed, sent out, everything will have to go out at least long before to comply with the agenda.
When you guys get ready to send comments, if something's misspelled, grammar, put that into. I got one set of eyes, I can't see everything. But most of this is gonna be substantive changes. Okay, that's what we're gonna be working on. Like, for instance, one example, we've got voting ex officio members in there, and we've got ex officio members who don't vote. Okay.
If you see something, send it to me. We'll dig through it. There's.
We got.
Oh, no, absolutely. You want to be in the meetings, yeah, for sure.
That don't exist anymore. Like it says,
Mhm.
according to Article 8, Section C5, there is no Article 8, Section C5. So if you know where that was supposed to be pointing to, I couldn't find it, please tell me. Okay.
Let's see if we get.
So those are substantive changes.
All right. Anybody got anything else?
I would
Comments?
just like to remind everybody that we're trying to get this done so we can hand it to the new SREC body
Well,
as the recommended.
I want
Is
to.
that right?
I want to enact it at the next meeting, and we'll be under it until May.
Oh, okay.
And then
All right.
hopefully,
I missed that.
it becomes the pass-through document, but I'd like to get it enacted.
Here, here.
For you, it's all for you. It's your send-off. It's your thank God Gail's God send-off. I'm kidding. You may not. Anybody got anything else? Anything else? I don't know if the chairman's going to replace Grace. We'll see you after the elections tomorrow. We may have a new member. So we may have to quickly bring that member up to speed. So if that happens, we'll punt. Anybody else?
Replace Grace on this one?
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? Do I have a motion to get out of here? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We're adjourned.